I never believed in miracles. But that Christmas Eve, when I stumbled through the blizzard and scooped up that freezing little girl from the drifts outside my crumbling trailer in rural Ohio, I felt something shift inside me, like the universe had finally decided to play a cruel joke on the wrong person. Her tiny arms wrapped around my neck in a hug that burned hotter than any shot of bourbon. And in that instant, the world blurred. My reflection in the nearby car's icy window showed not my weary 35-year-old face, but hers, wide-eyed, porcelain-skinned, no older than 8. And just like that, I wasn't Ruby anymore. I was trapped in this child's body, staring back at my own abandoned shell collapsing into the snow, while the real monster who'd stolen everything from me laughed from the shadows of my stolen life. It started 6 months earlier, back when I was still me, Ruby Harlan, a nobody scraping by as a night shift cashier at the Dollar General in Millersburg, the kind of town where everyone knows your business but pretends they don't. I'd grown up in these Rust Belt hollows, daughter of a coal miner dad who drank himself into an early grave and a mom who chain-smoked her way through 3 bad marriages before cancer took her. No silver spoons here. Just the cold bite of winter winds rattling the double-wide my ex-husband,
Tommy,
had left me with when he ran off with his tattoo artist side piece and half my savings. Tommy was the first betrayal that should have toughened me up, but it was nothing compared to what came next.
Dr.
Elias Crow. That's the name that still makes my blood boil. Even now, whispering it from this pint-sized throat. He rolled into town like some big city savior, fresh from Johns Hopkins with his fancy degrees and that silver tongue that could sell ice to Eskimos. Opened up the Crow Wellness Center right off the interstate, promising mind-body resets for the opioid-ravaged souls of Appalachia. Therapy sessions, yoga classes, experimental treatments funded by some shadowy pharma grant. Folks flocked to him, the pill poppers looking for a clean slate, the vets haunted by ghosts from Fallujah, the housewives drowning in regret.
Me?
I went because of the migraines, debilitating ones that had me curled up in the fetal position behind the register, popping Excedrin like candy. He was charming, Elias.
Tall.
Broad-shouldered, with salt and pepper hair and eyes like polished obsidian that seemed to see right through you. Ruby, he'd say in that velvet drawl, leaning in during our first consult, you're carrying the weight of the world on those beautiful shoulders. Let me help you let it go. It felt good, being seen. He prescribed some new neural blocker. Off-label stuff from his research said it targeted the pain pathways without the fog. I trusted him. Hell, I more than trusted him. After a few sessions, we were sneaking kisses in the back room of his office, his hands mapping my scars like they were treasures. He talked marriage, whispered about whisking me away to his cabin in the Adirondacks. I was a fool, but in Millersburg, fools fall hard. The betrayal hit like a freight train on a muggy July night. I'd shown up unannounced to his clinic after closing, a bottle of cheap Merlot in hand, dreaming of a picnic under the stars. The door was ajar, and there he was, Elias. My Elias, hunched over a gurney in the dim lab light, injecting something into a sedated patient strapped down like a lab rat. The patient? My brother.
Jake.
Sweet, broken Jake, who'd been spiraling since his tour in Afghanistan left him with a purple heart and a heroin habit. I'd covered for him for years, lied to Mom on her deathbed about his business trips, pawned my own jewelry to bail him out of jail. Elias knew all this. I'd spilled my guts in therapy. And now he was using Jake as a guinea pig for his body transfer protocol, some black market neural swap tech he'd cooked up in med school, buried under layers of red tape and ethical nightmares. I froze in the doorway, Heart hammering. Elias turned, syringe still in hand, and his face didn't crumple in shame. It hardened. "Ruby," he said coolly, like I'd caught him jaywalking. "You weren't supposed to see this." Jake's eyes fluttered open then, vacant and pleading, and Elias just finished the injection. A low hum filled the room from the machines, lights flickering like a bad horror flick. Jake convulsed, then went still. Elias wiped his hands on a towel and stepped toward me, that same charming smile twisting into something predatory. "It's for the greater good, darling." Jake's body young, resilient, perfect for my work. "And yours?"
"Well,
"Let's just say it's expendable collateral." Expendable. That's what I was to him. The migraines weren't random. He'd induced them, dosing my coffee with micro-triggers during sessions to make me dependent, pliable. The affair? A smokescreen to keep me close, feeding him intel on Jake, whom he'd targeted months ago as his next vessel. Jake had discovered the truth. Elias's side hustle selling swapped bodies to the ultra-rich, aging billionaires slipping into fresh skins, washed-up celebs cheating death. Jake confronted him, threatened to go to the feds. So Elias silenced him the only way he knew how, by shoving his soul into a vegetative junkie's husk in the clinic basement, dooming him to rot while Elias prepped my brother's body for auction to some Saudi prince with a midlife crisis. I bolted that night, but not before swiping a vial of the stabilizer serum from his desk, the one thing that could reverse the swap. If you timed it right. I ran to the cops. But Elias had tentacles everywhere. The sheriff was on his payroll. The DA his golf buddy. They called me hysterical. A spurned lover spinning yarns. Body swapping?
come on."
"Ruby, lay off the hillbilly heroine," the deputy sneered, tossing my statement in the trash. Elias played the victim, filed a restraining order, painted me as unstable. By fall, I was evicted, blacklisted from every job in the county, crashing on couches while he paraded around in his lakeside McMansion, toasting to innovative medicine at Chamber of Commerce galas. The secret he buried deepest? It wasn't just Jake's body he stole. It was mine, too, in a way. That serum I'd nicked? It was keyed to my DNA. A prototype Elias had tested on me unknowingly during therapy. He'd planned to swap me out eventually, once Jake's body was prepped, to cover his tracks. I was the fall guy from the start, the sister who'd overdosed in a tragic accident, leaving behind a note confessing to enabling Jake's addiction. Poetic justice, he called it. But I outsmarted him just barely. I holed up in a Fleabag motel outside Cleveland, poring over stolen research notes, plotting my revenge from the shadows. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd cross lines myself, hacking his emails with a burner laptop, dosing his prized rescue dog with laxatives to slip into his home office. But Elias? He was a god complex wrapped in a white coat, wielding power like a scalpel, carving up lives for profit. Winter came early that year, the kind of Ohio freeze that turns your bones to ice. Christmas Eve. I was tailing him, dressed in a pilfered Santa suit from the thrift store, the red polyester itching like guilt against my skin. He'd been cagey lately, holing up at the clinic with VIP trials. I figured he'd finally pull the trigger on Jake's body sale, and I'd catch him red-handed, serum in hand, forcing the swap back. But the storm hit hard, visibility down to 0, and I lost him on the back roads. My truck skidded off 62, nose diving into a ditch. Staggering out into the whiteout, cursing God and Crow in equal measure. That's when I saw her, a tiny figure huddled against a sycamore, snow caking her lashes like frosting on a forgotten gingerbread. She couldn't have been more than 8, dressed in a threadbare nightgown under a too-big parka, barefoot despite the sub-zero chill. "Help," she whimpered, teeth chattering, as I scooped her up. She was light as a bird, cold as death.
No gloves.
No hat, just this wild mop of chestnut curls framing a face that could have been an angel's if not for the terror in her eyes. I hugged her close, rubbing her back to coax some warmth into her limbs, murmuring nonsense about hot cocoa and Christmas lights. That's when it happened. Her arms locked around me, fingers digging in like claws, and a jolt ripped through us both, electric, invasive, like fingers prying open a locked door in your skull. The world inverted. My vision swam, colors bleeding into static, and when it cleared, I was staring up at
Me.
No, not me. My body. My face, 35 and lined with worry, gaping down in horror. The little girl's arms still outstretched from where I'd been holding her. But I was small now, limbs pudgy and short, voice a piping squeak as I screamed. The girl, no. Me now, stumbled back, clutching her throat, eyes bulging. "What the fuck?" she rasped in my voice, before collapsing into the snow.
Twitching.
Panic clawed at me. This wasn't Elias's tech, it was raw, wilder. Like the serum had mutated in the cold or some cosmic fuck you from the universe. The vial in my pocket was shattered. Shards glinting in the snow, must have broken in the crash. I, the child now, scrambled over, patting her cheeks, but she was limp, breath shallow. Dragging her to the truck was hell. My new arms were weak, the storm howling like a banshee. I got us back to my trailer, cranked the heat, wrapped us in blankets. She, my body, came to after an hour, bolting upright with a gasp. "Ruby? Oh, God. Ruby, what did you do?" But it wasn't me looking out from my eyes. It was her, whatever her was. She babbled then, the impossible secret spilling out in halting sobs. Her name was Lila Voss, 9 years old, from a foster home in Akron. She'd been snatched 3 weeks back, dosed with experimental drugs by a doctor, promising cures for her leukemia. Elias. Of course it was fucking Elias. He'd been running a side ring, snatching street kids, runaways, the invisible ones, swapping their essences into animal hosts or worse, discarding them like used tissues to perfect his human transfers. Lila was his latest prototype, a pure vessel for high-end clients, her child's body resilient, unscarred. But something had gone wrong in the swap. She'd escaped, half feral, wandering for days until the storm pinned her down. "I hugged you 'cause you felt safe," she whispered from my lips, tears carving tracks down my cheeks. And then it jumped. Like it wanted out. The neural echo. She called it an unstable feedback from Elias's cocktails. Touch triggered. Volatile. We'd swapped accidentally, my desperation amplifying the serum residue in my blood. Now I was Lila. She was Ruby, trapped in each other's skins, with Elias closing in. He'd marked her, me now, as escaped property, hunters on her trail. And Jake, still locked in that junkie's corpse, wasting away, because I'd failed to save him. Rage boiled up, hot and clarifying. This wasn't just revenge anymore, it was survival, twisted into something darker. Controversial decisions? I'd make them all. First, I couldn't go to the cops as a kid. They'd lock Lila up as a runaway, dope her on Haldol, and ship her back to Elias's web. So I played the part, wide-eyed orphan, spinning tales of a lost mommy to the busybody neighbors who found us trudging to the gas station the next morning. Lila and Ruby convinced them I'd wandered off during the storm. They bought it, cooing over hot chocolate and fruitcake, none the wiser to the adult mind screaming inside this child's frame. We hunkered down, plotting in whispers while the radio crooned Bing Crosby. Lila knew things, Elias's routines, the clinic's back entrances, the passcodes he'd bragged about. She'd been his star patient for months, groomed with lies about family reunions. The betrayal cut deeper now. He'd preyed on her loneliness, just like he'd preyed on mine. He said he'd fix me, she murmured one night, staring at her new hands, my calloused palms, nails bitten to the quick. Make the sick go away. But he just took me. The hidden secret unraveled further. Elias wasn't just a rogue doc. He was bankrolled by a cabal tech moguls, politicians, the 1%ers terrified of their own mortality. Jake's body? Already sold to a Silicon Valley VC who donated millions to the clinic. The crime I'd borne? Not just covering for Jake, it was enabling Elias unknowingly, vouching for him to my brother, setting the trap. The mistake that doomed us all.
But now,
with this swap, I had an edge, innocence as camouflage. A little girl could slip anywhere, ask questions no one suspect. We struck on New Year's Eve, fireworks masking the chaos. Lila and Ruby created the diversion, crashing a snowmobile into the clinic's perimeter fence, sirens wailing as drunk locals scattered. I, the child, darted in through the vents, small enough to crawl like a rat. Heart pounding, I navigated the ducts, emerging in the sub-basement where Elias kept his archives. There he was in surgical scrubs, prepping Jake's body on the slab, IVs dripping the transfer serum. The client loomed in the corner, some balding tech bro in a parka, fidgeting with his Rolex. You, Elias hissed as I burst in, pigtails askew, clutching a stolen scalpel. He recognized the fire in my eyes, Lila's eyes, but my soul blazing through. The feral one. How? I lunged, slashing at his hand, serum vials shattering in a chemical hiss. Alarms blared, but the twist came fast. The tech bro grabbed me, pinning my arms, his breath reeking of entitlement. Feisty little thing. Elias. You said she was contained. Elias laughed. A low, triumphant rumble.
she was.
Until your impatience forced my hand. That's when the reversal hit, the truth inverting like a bad trip. Lila hadn't escaped. I'd been the bait all along. Elias had orchestrated the crash, the storm chase, planting the shattered vial to trigger the swap.
Why?
To test the echo protocol on a live subject, me, the unstable variable, now trapped in a child's form, perfect for his next auction, eternal youth for pervs who fancied jailbait fantasies, laundered through dark web bids. Jake, never the target, he was leverage. His addiction, a cover for Elias dosing him with prototypes years ago. The real betrayal? I was the junkie. Unwittingly. My migraines a slow poison to soften me for harvest. Lila was his plant, a swapped decoy. Her secret, a lie to draw me in. You think you're the Avenger? Elias sneered, cuffing my wrists with zip ties. You're the monster now.
Ruby.
Look at you, stealing a child's life to chase ghosts. The client nodded. injecting me with a sedative, the room spinning into black. But in that void, I felt it, the echo rebounding, unstable as hell. Lila's essence, fused with mine, surged back. Controversial? I'd end it my way. I woke strapped to the gurney. Jake's husk in the next room. Elias monologuing to his buyer about ethical elasticity. The fireworks outside boomed like Judgment Day. With a twitch of will, fueled by every lie, every stolen breath, I triggered the final swap. Not back to normal, oh no. I hurled Elias's soul into the junkie's corpse, his screams echoing as his mind drowned in addiction's fog. The tech bro swapped into Lila's frail body, collapsing in confusion, leukemia raging unchecked. And me, back in my own skin, but fractured, echoes of childhood terror lingering like ghosts. Jake stirred beside me, eyes clearing for the first time in months. "Sis," he croaked. I freed him, serum remnants burning my veins. And we torched the clinic, evidence, machines, all of it, flames licking the sky as sirens wailed. Lila's body, empty now, we buried in the woods. A pauper's grace. Was it justice? Or murder? Twice over? Elias rotted in a state pen psych ward, raving about stolen skins, his empire crumbling under FBI probes I'd anonymously tipped. The client? A 9-year-old, miracle recovery story. But whispers of his breakdown haunted the dark web. We drove west that dawn, Jake and I, toward California sun. But the tension never lifted. Every hug from a stranger made me flinch, wondering if echoes lingered. A happy ending?
For some.
But in the rear view, I saw the girl I might have been, innocent, unscarred, and wondered if I'd truly won, or just traded one hell for another. You decide. The highway blurred past in streaks of sodium light, Jake's knuckles white on the wheel of the stolen F-150 we'd borrowed from the clinic lot. Dawn was breaking over the Appalachians, painting the ridges in bloody hues that matched the raw scrape in my throat from screaming Elias's name into the fire. My body felt wrong, heavy, unfamiliar, like slipping into an old coat that's stretched in all the wrong places. Every joint ached, a reminder of the swap's toll, neural whiplash. They called it in the research notes I'd scorched. But we were free, or as free as ghosts get. Jake glanced over, his face gaunt but alive, the junkie's tracks fading like bad tattoos under fresh resolve. You okay? Rubes. His voice was gravel, laced with that post-tour tremor he never shook. I nodded, forcing a smile, but inside, the echoes churned, flashes of Lila's memories bleeding through, the sting of foster group needles, the acrid burn of Elias's vitamins, the hollow ache of Christmases spent under fluorescent orphanage lights, dreaming of a mom who'd bailed at birth. I'm the one who should be asking, I muttered, fiddling with the radio until static gave way to some Nashville crooner warbling about lost love. You were gone for months.
Trapped in that thing.
Jake's jaw tightened. He'd pieced it together in the flame's afterglow, the horror sinking in like slow poison. Elias hadn't just swapped him, he'd rewritten his synapses, implanting false memories to keep the vessel compliant. Jake remembered confessing to dealing fentanyl, framing himself for a string of ODs that Elias had orchestrated to thin the local herd, making room for his wellness empire. It wasn't you, I pressed, because guilt was a bitch we both carried. I should have seen it sooner. Covered for you. Lied to everyone, Mom. The courts. Made it easy for him. Jake shook his head, eyes on the road.
Nah.
He played us both.
Cease.
Power like that. It's a drug stronger than anything I shot up. We fell silent then. The kind of quiet that stretches like taffy, pulling at old wounds. Ohio faded behind us, giving way to Pennsylvania's endless turnpikes. But the tension coiled tighter with every mile. Elias was down, but his web,
Fust.
those cabal backers wouldn't let a glitchy torch job slide. They'd hunt anomalies like us, paint us as terrorists to bury the truth. By Erie, we ditched the truck for a Greyhound, cash from Elias's safe burning holes in my pocket. I bought kids' clothes on impulse, flannel PJs, a knit cap, then ditched them in a gas station trash bin, the act feeling like shedding a skin I never wore. Lila's ghost clung, though, a compulsion to twirl my hair, a fear of loud men that made me flinch at the bus driver's bark. Controversial? I'd killed to get here. Elias's mind snuffed in a body not his own, the client reduced to a child's frailty. Mercy killings, I'd tell myself in the dark hours. But the line blurred. Was I avenger or executioner? The law sure as shit wouldn't parse the nuance. We holed up in a Pittsburgh motel, the kind with hourly rates and roaches the size of quarters. Jake crashed hard, sedated by exhaustion, while I paced the threadbare carpet, piecing the final threads of Elias's empire. His laptop, miraculously unburnt, snatched in the chaos, yielded gold, encrypted drives detailing swaps for the elite. A senator in a call girl's body, evading scandal. A hedge fund shark reborn as his own son, dodging inheritance taxes. And me, listed as vessel, Harlan. Ruby 35F, expendable. Echo test subject. The betrayal deepened. Elias had filmed our affair, twisted clips to blackmail Jake into silence, then pinned the suicide on me when I ran. But the real gut punch? The hidden secret I'd borne unknowingly. My migraines weren't induced poison. They were genetic, passed from Dad, a rare neural disorder Elias had identified early, exploiting it for his trials. Jake knew, had begged me to get tested, but I'd brushed it off as just stress. The crime? My denial doomed us, enabled Elias to position me as the perfect patsy. My instability pre-documented for the cover story. I'd gambled my brother's life on denial. And lost. Lila's echoes helped crack the codes, her child's intuition spotting patterns adults missed. He liked puzzles, she whispered through me one night, guiding my fingers over keys. We leaked snippets to a journalist contact from Jake's vet group, a hard-nosed broad named Carla Ruiz, who ran an indie pod on corporate corruption. "This is dynamite," she texted back, voice distorted over burner phones. "But if it's true, your targets." Lay low. We did. Zigzagging west, Cleveland dives, Toledo truck stops, each stop shedding aliases like snakeskin. The power plays ramped up by Chicago. Elias's cabal struck first, subtle, deniable. A concerned citizen, Tip had CPS sniffing after Lila Voss, flyers with her face plastered on lampposts. I saw one in a diner window. Heart seizing, it was my face now. Wide-eyed and pleading. Jake laughed it off. Irony. Huh. But his hands shook pouring coffee. Then the hunters came. 2 suits in a black Escalade. Tails we shook in Gary, Indiana, after a high-speed weave through rail yards. "They're cleaning house," Jake growled. Pistol, Elias's own Glock, tucked in his waistband. Controversial decision number 2. Arming up. I hated guns. The cold metal reminder of Dad's hunting trips that ended in bar fights. But survival's a bitch. and Mercy had gotten us swapped and burned. We hit St. Louis under a spring rain that washed the grime, but not the guilt. There, in a soul food joint off Kings Highway, the tension snapped. A local, ex-cop turned PI, tipped by Carla, slid into our booth, badge glinting like false hope. "Heard your ghosts with a grudge," he drawled, sipping chicory brew. Name was Harlan too, coincidence? Or fate's cruel wink? Uncle Ray, he'd called himself. Family lore from Mom's side. He knew the Harlan curse, the neural tics, the bad blood that made us sensitive to Elias's tech. Boys work, he spat. Meaning Jake. Swap bin souls like Pokemon cards. Your doc. Tip of the iceberg. Ray had dirt. Manifests of swapped kids. Auction logs to offshore clinics. Lila's name topped the list, snatched from Akron not for leukemia, but because her bloodline traced to old money eugenics experiments. Pure genetics for elite vessels. The twist inverted again. She wasn't a victim. She was engineered. A sleeper asset Elias activated to test me. Her escape lured me into the Echo, confirming my viability for the Cabal's youth serum trials.
Betrayal on betrayal. Idę grze trap.
Borne the weight of her fabricated innocence. We recruited Ray, his PI grit meshing with Jake's street smarts. The trio plotted the climax, infiltrate the Cabal's summit. A wellness retreat at a Tahoe lodge, where Elias's successors would bid on my body, now proven, eco-stable. Controversial? We'd go in hot. Me as bait. Posing as a runaway kid Elias recovered, Jake and Ray as security plants. Drugs. Deception. The works. This ends bloody, Ray warned over whiskey shots. I nodded, the child's fear in me warring with the woman's fire.
Wham!
Yeah, dark as the grave we danced on. The drive to Nevada was a pressure cooker, Jake relapsing on painkillers swiped from a pharmacy run, paranoia making him snap at shadows. There in my head, he'd mutter, scratching phantom itches from the junkie host. I'd hold him then. Echoes of Lila's soothing with nonsense rhymes. But each touch risked a microswap, flashes where I'd blink and see through his eyes. Feel the war ghosts clawing. Tension strung us taut. Love fraying into resentment. You should have let me die, he accused one night in a Reno casino parking lot. Neon bleeding through rain-streaked windows. Saved yourself the mess. Fuck that, I shot back, voice cracking. We're Harlans. We don't go quiet, but doubt nod. Was revenge worth the rot? The power imbalance crushed, Cabal billionaires versus us. The disposable. Yet the dark thrill built. A controversial high. Planning their fall felt like godhood. Payback for every slight. Every stolen breath. Tahoe loomed under summer haze. The lodge a glass and timber fortress perched on granite cliffs. Security tighter than Fort Knox. We slipped in piecemeal. Ray as catering muscle. Jake as a rehab tech. Me smuggled in a duffel. Heart hammering like a trapped bird. The air reeked of money, cedar saunas, caviar canapes, whispers of eternal assets. I emerged in the sublevel lab, clad in a starched smock, playing the wide-eyed vessel. The auctioneer, a slick Brit in pinstripes, poked and prodded, cooing about neural purity. Then the buyers filed in, faces from Forbes lists, ghosts from scandal sheets. One leered, a media mogul with liver spots, dreaming of my 35-year-old vigor in his sagging frame. Feisty one, he chuckled, echoing Elias. Rage ignited deep, primal. As bids climbed, I triggered the echo deliberately, a hidden injector in my sleeve. Serum laced with Cabal DNA samples Ray had swiped. Chaos erupted, swaps rippling like dominoes. The mogul blinked into a waiter's body. Slumping in confusion, a Politico swapped with her own aide. Screams fracturing the room. Jake and Ray burst in. Trank guns popping like champagne corks. Gunfire cracked, security goons dropping. But not before Ray took a slug to the thigh. Blood sheeting the marble. "Go," he bellowed, covering our flank. We dragged the auctioneer to the slab, forcing the master reversal, a cascade swap dumping every soul back. Echoes amplified to fry their synapses. Buyers writhed, minds fracturing under the overload, secrets spilling in delirious confessions, recorded on Jake's phone for Carla's exposé. But the climax twisted vicious. Elias, vegetative in his cell, had a failsafe, a remote neural bomb, triggered by the mass echo. Pain lanced my skull. Visions assaulting. Lila's true origin. Not engineered, but me as a child. Abducted briefly in the 90s. Proto-swapped and repressed. The secret I'd buried? I was the first vessel. My migraines the scar tissue. Betrayal complete. Elias hadn't stolen my life. He'd reclaimed his experiment. I collapsed. Jake hauling me out as the lodge burned. Cabal crumbling in the inferno. Ray made it. Barely. Choppered to a VA hospital. The exposé dropped weeks later. Front page scandal. Arrests rippling through D.C. We vanished into witness protection. A sunny bungalow in Arizona. Jake clean. Me medicated against echoes. Yet the tension lingers. Dark and debatable. Happy, surface level. But in quiet moments, I hug Jake and wonder, did I avenge? Or just perpetuate the cycle? The girl's secret, my own buried youth, whispers that monsters wear our faces. You tell me. Arizona heat baked the stucco walls of our new life. A far cry from Ohio's bone chill. But it couldn't scorch out the frost in my veins. We'd been Mr. and Mrs. Ellis for 3 months now, Jake tending citrus groves under a false social security, me volunteering at the local library, shelving romances with endings too neat to swallow. The feds called it a clean break. Cabal dismantled. 20 indictments. Carla Ruiz Pulitzer-bound on our whispers. Elias? Comatose in Supermax. Brain a Swiss cheese from the echo overload. His empire ash. Victory. Right? Except revenge leaves residue. Sticky as spilled Merlot. And mine coated everything in a sheen. Morning started civil. Coffee on the patio. Jake sketching war memorials in a notebook. His hands steady for the first time since Kandahar. Think we could get a dog? He'd ask. Half joking. Eyes crinkling like Dad's. I'd laugh. Stir in creamer. But the echo would twitch, a flicker of Lila's laugh. High and brittle. Reminding me of the body we'd left smoldering in Tahoe. Controversial end. We'd chosen fire over burial. Evidence disposal per Ray's gruff advice.
No marquer.
No prayers. Just flames devouring the vessel that saved us. Or damned us. She'd won it quick. I'd rationalized. But guilt gnawed like termites. The tension built slow. Insidious. In the mundane. Grocery runs triggered it. Fluorescent aisles echoing the clinic's hum. Making me grip the cart till knuckles blanched. I'd catch my reflection. Ruby Harlan. 36 now. Crow's feet deepening. And see her. The girl in the snow. Arms outstretched. Secret poised on her lips. The impossible truth. Reversed one last time in my dreams. Lila wasn't a plant or a victim. She was me, a fragment splintered off in that childhood abduction, regrown by Elias's tech into a decoy soul. The hug hadn't stolen her life. It had reclaimed mine, fusing the lost pieces. Betrayal's apex, I'd avenged a ghost of myself, borne the crime of forgetting, the mistake of denial that let Elias thrive. Jake noticed first. "You're drifting again," he'd say over dinner, tacos from a kid. "Our compromise cuisine." I'd blink back, fork midway to mouth. Echoes replaying the summit, the mogul's gurgle as his mind swapped to servitude, the politico's wail as youth betrayed her. Power's illusion. We'd wielded it. Controversial as napalm, frying elites in their own hubris. But the high soured. News clips showed family shattered, not just the guilty. A swapped aide, vegetative now, her kids suing the estate. Collateral, Ray called it from his rehab calls. Leg pinned in titanium. War's messy. Yet I wondered, had we become him?
Mani umo.
Yes, plotting auctions of our own justice. The dark tension crested in July. Monsoon season turning the desert to mud. Ray blew into town unannounced, crutch thumping across our threshold like a gunslinger with a grudge. "Brought beer and bad news," he grunted, tossing a six-pack on the formica. The news? Loose ends. A cabal holdout. A pharma heiress named Vivian Locke, who'd slipped the net. Slippery as an eel. She'd been Elias's silent partner, funding the kid snatches. Her charity fronts laundering vessels. And get this, she'd bought Lila's Echo profile pre-swap, targeting me for a private transfer. "Thinks your neural scar's the key to immortality," Ray said, cracking a cores. "Wants Ruby Harlan's brain in her wrinkled husk." Jake paced, old tremors flaring. "We end it. Go public." But I saw the trap. Exposure cracked our protection. Feds twitchy after the leaks. Controversial choice 3. Vigilante encore. We hit the road again. Ray's beat-up Bronco rumbling east. A road trip from hell through Vegas neon and Utah Reds. Vivian's lair? A spa compound in Sedona. Vortex bullshit masking labs where she rejuvenated with stolen souls. Infiltration was poetry in motion. Jake as a crystal healing vet. Ray posing as groundskeeper. Me the distress seeker, booking a solo retreat. Sedona swirled with woo-woo haze, energy healers chanting under red rocks. Air thick with sage and secrets.
I checked in solo.
Pulse thundering under the receptionist's smile. Echoes humming like live wires. Vivian summoned me that night to her yurt sanctuary, a silk-draped tent pulsing with bioluminescent tech, Elias's prototypes. Upgraded. She was a vision of decayed glamour. 60s. Botox taut. Pearls choking her throat like noose. "Ruby," she purred, sipping kale elixir. "Or should I say, the Echo Queen?" Elias spoke so highly of your resilience. The confession poured then.
Her mu leid bare over chamomile-steam.
She'd birthed the program, decades ago, funding Elias's med school with blood money from opioid patents. The kids? Necessary sacrifices, she cooed, eyes gleaming. Purity for the worthy. My betrayal? She'd watched me for years. Post-abduction files marking me as Patient Zero's heir. Jake's swap? Her idea. Testing familial bonds for echo strength. The secret I'd borne. Mom hadn't died of cancer. Vivian's trials. Dosed through charity meds to harvest Harlan DNA. The mistake? My ignorance. Enabling the cycle by surviving. Rage crested. Dark and tensile. As she prepped the slab, serum humming, her surgeons masked, I triggered the final echo, a self-inflicted cascade, amplified by Sedona's vortexes, or just sheer will. Vivian lunged, but too late, her soul yanked into the ether. Body slumping as mine flooded with fragments. Lila's joy. Mom's lullabies. Even Elias's cold calculus. A toxic cocktail granting clarity. Jake and Ray stormed in, tasers crackling. But the twist reversed utterly. Vivian's mind didn't die, it merged. Her essence splintering into us. A triune haunt. We torched the compound at dawn. Flames devouring ledgers and lies. Ray's crutch a cane for our exodus. Back in Arizona, the merger settled. Vivian's knowledge a double-edged gift. Cabal remnants mapped. Fortunes to seize for reparations. Jake painted again. Canvases alive with swapped souls. Ray opened a PI firm for the displaced. Limping toward redemption.
Me?
I wrote. Anonymous memoirs leaked to Carla. Stirring debates in op-eds. Vigilantes or villains. Justice or hubris. The ending? Debatable as dawn. We gathered Christmases now, real ones. With trees and tinsel. Jake's dog yapping underfoot.
Ux come cauchos.
Echoes purring content.
Happy?
In fragments.
Bee cake.
In the mirrors. Where the girl's face fades but never fully. I'd borne the crimes. Chased the monsters. And, in the reversal, became both. The secret? We all swap pieces, betrayals. Secrets.
Skins.
The tension eases. But the dark lingers. A shadow arguing. Was it worth it? Pull up a chair. Let's fight about it.